Hi, everyone. Welcome back to episode 147 of the Sovereign Helper podcast. I'm so happy to be here with you right now and discuss this really important topic. So, today the episode is called Stop Waiting and Start Being Your New Self. All right, so again, stop waiting and start being your new self. So, if you're new to my work, my name is Lisa Espinosa, and I'm a spiritual career coach. And I coach therapists and other wellness professionals, and really any person that is in the field of helping, of creating change, being a change maker, a visionary. So, welcome to this space. And what I want to share as we start is that in the beginning of this year, the beginning of 2025, I declared, right, that this was going to be our breakthrough year. And some of you I know were there in that masterclass that I taught back in January. But even if you weren't, I'm telling you now, right, that I decided this was going to be our breakthrough year. And when I say our, I mean all the helpers of the world, the people that are drawn to my work, right? That you have already created so much light in the world. And just like every other human, we have blocks and burdens and things that can get in the way of us creating the full impact, right? Of you having the full impact that you're supposed to have, and of doing that in a way that doesn't lead to burnout or depletion. And so that's first as a kind of preface to this episode, right? That we said this is going to be our breakthrough year. You're going to break through limitations that perhaps have been in your life for years. And then it's also, this is in Chinese astrology, it's also the year of the snake. And so the year of the snake has a lot of different qualities to it, but one of the main ones is shedding, just like a skin sheds its old skin, right? A snake, I think I said skin. A snake, right? A snake grows, it sheds its skin so it can grow some more. And so this has been also a year of shedding, releasing the unnecessary. Think about, what have you shed this year already? It might be shedding relationships, it might be shedding clutter, it might be shedding weight, it might be shedding old habits, it might be shedding old identities, right? Made up of the thoughts and beliefs that you had that no longer serve you. And so those two combinations, breakthrough year, year of the snake, and in numerology, this is also a year 9, a year of completion, right? This is a year to complete, to tie loose ends, to complete lessons, to complete, even like if there's classes that you've been teaching or teachings that are part of the medicine that you bring to the world, this was the year to complete. Now, it could mean that you're completing, like you're done teaching them, but it could also mean, for me, it felt more like, oh, my teachings came to a point of like deep integration, right? It's almost like this curriculum I was on. And so you can think of it this way for you. If you think of like you're in school, in earth school, and this is a year of completion, meaning like you're when you're graduating college, right? Or you're graduating from your PhD. It's like this is a year of graduation. That's another way of looking at it. So all of those are beautiful things. And here we are, towards the end of the year. And so one of the things with this being such a year of shedding, and I've talked a lot about, one of the main things is shedding your old identities, right? One of the main things I help my clients with is shedding old, what I call the martyr helper identity, which are these beliefs and thoughts that a lot of, through religious programming, for many reasons, we have come to believe about what it means to be a good helper, right? What it means to be a good person, somebody that creates impact, somebody that brings love and light to the world. There's a lot of confusion about that. And so there's a lot of these thought errors, right? I must sacrifice, I must suffer with the people I'm here to help. I must not stand out, I must not show off, I must be in the background. I need to always overextend. If somebody needs my help, I should always say yes, and so on and so forth. And these old identities, I want to add another one. There's also with this, there's this like, I need more training. I don't know enough. I'm falling behind. I should be further ahead. All of these old identities, I invite you to think about them like these old roles that you played, right? It's like these clothes that you put on, and there's many reasons for them, right? There's things we pick up in our childhood, but right now, just imagine it was this old role you played in a movie. Like this is what you, and everybody's old identities are different, but there's these identities that, for example, one of me I've shared before, an identity that I really embodied throughout a lot of probably the first 25 years of my life for sure, and it's continued after that, but very much the first 25 years of my life. I mean, not when I was a baby, right? But starting probably from teenagehood, was this energy of proving myself, right? This identity of like, I have to prove myself. People are writing me off, because I got pregnant at 19. It's like, and so there was this energy of like, I must prove myself. I must prove that I'm not going to just become another statistic, or that I'm not going to just drop out of college now, or that I haven't ruined my life, right? There was all this energy of proving myself. And for a long time, that served me well. It provided a lot of fuel, right? It provided kind of like that underdog energy that can be incredibly powerful. And so that helped a lot until it didn't, right? Until I got to a point in my life where that energy of proving myself was actually hurting me. It was holding back my impact, right? Because I was always coming into situations from a place of, well, people aren't going to think I'm good enough. So I have to prove myself, right? It started to become like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So I had to work on releasing that identity. And so you're so this year you've been shedding a lot. Even if you aren't consciously aware of it, as you listen to this, I want you to start thinking about, what have I shed this year? What identities? But this is the challenge that happens. So you're being led by your soul, right? I use the word soul. You might use the word higher self or true essence. This is the part of you that is who you truly are, right? This is your divine self. This is the you that's eternally connected to God, to source, to universe, whatever words you use. Now, when we drop into the earth and we come here to have a human life, we get a human body, and we get an ego structure, an ego consciousness. And so the ego consciousness is that part that is always looking outside of itself, right? It's the part of us, the part of the brain, the part of this consciousness that we all have as long as we're in the human body, that is constantly comparing, judging, that is always either looking towards the past or looking towards the future. The ego structure doesn't ever want to be in the present. In fact, it can't be in the present, right? We only access the present from our soulful place, from a place of our soul alignment. And so when you're on this path of sharing your medicine to the highest impact, right? When you are here and you know that you are here as a helper, you know you have a divine assignment in whatever way you do that, whether you do it as a therapist or you do it as a philanthropist, or you do it, maybe you're retired and you do it in how you connect with your family and loved ones, or maybe you do volunteer work, or whatever it is, maybe you're an artist. But when you have that divine assignment, what you agreed to was to come into this planet, this world, and know that you were going to get an ego structure, an ego consciousness that was going to keep feeding you this, like, look to the past, look to the future. You're not enough. Keep striving, keep efforting. Look at that person's better than you. Look at that person, you're better than that person, right? It's like you knew you were going to get this ego consciousness. and how challenging that was going to be, because the ego can feel very true. Right? Like, oh yeah, that person is ahead of me. They are better than me. Oh, that person is behind me. I am better than them. Right? It's like the ego is very convincing. But you agreed that you would come in, and even though the ego is relentless and keeps going, that's its program. That's what it's designed to do. You were going to choose over and over to, instead of following your soul, you're going to, instead of following your ego, you're going to follow your soul. Okay? So now going back to this year, shedding. So now that you've been shedding, the ego structure is very strategic, right? It's not, it's not evil. So I'm not trying to say this ego is evil. The ego is just a program. It's just designed to do what I already said, and it does it. It just keeps doing it. And so when you in this place of shedding, like shedding the old identities, what the ego structure can start to do is kind of keep us addicted to that. Like, oh, okay, I just have to keep releasing the old identities and releasing the old identities and releasing the old identities. And one day that new version is going to arrive. Maybe it's next year. Maybe it's in a few months. Like, it's because, again, the ego never wants you to be in the present moment. So it's really important now to start talking about welcoming that version of you that you have been birthing all year. That new version of you is already inside of you. And I want to be clear, when I say this new version of you, ultimately it's actually your true version, because these old identities that don't serve you, they all emerged out of trauma or wounding or limiting beliefs. They're not who you really are. So what we're actually doing is releasing who we aren't to make space for who we are. And so I want to give you a practice, teach you a practice today to really ground this, right? Because it sounds beautiful, like, oh yes, just welcome the new you. That sounds amazing. But how do you do that? Like, how do you actually do that? So I want to say this before I share it. It's simple. This is not a complicated process. You don't need a PhD. You don't need a degree from Oxford or Harvard or anything like that. It's simple. But simple doesn't mean easy. It will require your commitment. It will require effort, like soulful effort. It will require discipline. And when I say discipline, I know that word can feel like, ew, it feels so, because discipline can be very much led by the ego, and that's not what I'm talking about. If you think of the word discipline, right, the word disciple, so think of discipline in that way, like you're a disciple, a student of your soul. So it does require, this practice is going to require you committing to be a student of your soul. Okay, so I have some notes here because I wanted to make sure to not forget any steps. So the first step is going to be, you're going to ask yourself this prompt. Okay, I'm going to read it to you. And before I read it, a couple of things. One is, notice if your ego starts to dismiss this, like, oh, this isn't going to really help, right? Like, that's your ego speaking right there, right? Notice that. It's no judgment. It's just like, oh, of course, the ego is always, because the other thing about the ego structure is it wants to make things complicated. It wants us always to analyze and try to understand, to take us from the present moment. So notice if that happens. Okay. The other thing is, notice if when I give you the prompt, you immediately, your brain offers you, I don't know, I have no idea, or this is confusing, or just, again, just know that that's just like a program. I want you to, when I ask the prompt, imagine that you do know, right? So even if you're like, well, what if I just took my best guess, right? It's not a test. Now, for some of you, it'll be really clear, but if your mind goes to like, I don't know, I'm confused, I don't know, that just kind of breathe and just go to like, what if I did know? Like, what if I could take a guess? Okay, so this is the first step for this. Again, this is how we're grounding, not waiting anymore for the new you, but making space for the new you that's already inside of you. So first question is, what version of me have I been birthing this year? I had a little post-it here and I lost it. Okay, well, I have it here. Again, what version of me have I been birthing this year? And you might want to bring your hands to your heart. Close your eyes and breathe and just ask that, what version of me? have I been birthing this year? Okay. And you're going to ask then, and I invite you to write this down. Now, this is recorded so you can go back. But when you do this, like write, don't just have it in your head, actually write them down. And I'm going to give you an example. Okay. Then you're going to ask, what are her dominant thoughts? I'm just going to use the pronoun her and she for this. Okay. But you replace with whatever pronouns resonate with you, feel good, are right for you. So let me start again. What version of me have I been birthing this year? What are her dominant thoughts? What are her dominant emotions? What are her actions or behaviors? Okay, so you are going to ask yourself that first. So I'm going to give you an example to help ground this. Let's say that your answer is, well, I've been birthing a more confident, wise version of myself. Let's say that's the answer, okay? And so now, if that's like, okay, I've been birthing this confident, wise version of myself. That's not to say that you're not confident now or you're not wise now, but maybe you've been birthing this next level, right? This next level of confidence, this next level of wisdom. And so now you're going to connect with her, knowing that she's inside of you, and you're going to ask, okay, what are her thoughts? And you're going to write them down. And I wrote a few down here when I did this exercise. It's also as I've helped my clients with this exercise. So her thoughts might be, I have so much wisdom to share. I know what my people need. It's easy and joyful to share my gifts. I bring value everywhere I go. Okay, so let's say those are her thoughts. This more confident, wise version of you. That's already inside of you. Okay? And now the next question is, when she thinks those thoughts, how does she feel? This is really important because it is essential for you to start to understand that your thoughts create your feelings. So if this version of you is thinking all the time, I have so much wisdom to share. I know what my people need. It's easy and joyful to share my gifts. I bring value everywhere I go. If that is the loop going in her head, what are her feelings? Peaceful, confident, present, grounded. Now remember, this is an example. Yours will look different, right? Now you've got the thoughts and you've got the emotions. And now you're going to ask, what are her actions when she's in that energy? So this is why you want to do it in this order, because if you just sit and ask, well, what does my future me do? Right? It can give you some answers, but it can be very ungrounded. But when you really think like, wait, what does she think? Oh, she thinks this. And when she's thinking that, this is how she feels. And when she's thinking that and feeling those feelings, what are her actions? So this is what I wrote. She shares her wisdom naturally and without attachment. So notice that. It's not that she's going around telling people, I'm so smart, I'm so wise, let me tell you how. No, it's natural and without attachment. Meaning she's not waiting for people to be like, ooh, you're so wise. She doesn't need to. She just naturally shares it. She magnetizes aligned opportunities. So she's somebody that as she moves around, just kind of opportunities show up, right? Maybe she's invited to speak in a podcast, or maybe at a store she starts talking to somebody and it's someone that needs help and she's able to offer some wisdom. There'll be different ways, but she's not chasing, right? She's magnetizing aligned opportunities. She honors her time and energy as sacred. Right? This is really important. Is she this confident, more confident, wiser version of you who has those thoughts and has those emotions, honors her time and energy as sacred? She tends to her well-being with care and reverence. Right? And so again, notice that this goes beyond like, okay, you should really take care of yourself. This is like, oh, she values herself, right? She knows, I know what when I say I know what my people need, I mean whomever your people are, your clients, your students, your loved ones, right? And she's like, I know what my people need. I bring value everywhere I go. I have so much wisdom to share. When you have that, that's not coming from narcissism. That's a beautiful understanding of the value you bring. And you also recognize, oh, it's my responsibility to really take good care of myself. There are so many people that I meant to share my wisdom, that I meant to bring value to. I can't go into like, oh, I don't have time to take care of myself. No, that's a priority. And there's no proving, right? Because I said these are the actions and behaviors. There's no proving, no apologizing. So when this version, right, has more confidence and is wise and has these thoughts and has these emotions, there's no need to prove. There's no like, oh, I should go do that because then that's going to make me look like I really know what I'm doing, right? Or I should have this amount of followers because then that legitimizes the work that I do. Or I should even like write, books because then that'll really make me an expert. That isn't to say you won't write a book, but it's not coming from that place, right? There's no need to prove and there's no need to apologize. Again, I don't mean like you never apologize, but there's this energy that when we're in a place of insecurity, we can carry of like literally, there were years where I literally said sorry all the time. And I still sometimes get into that. It's like a loop. Even if somebody literally bumps into me, I'd be like, sorry. And it was like such a program running inside of me. And a lot of helpers have this, especially the helpers I work with who are highly sensitive, very intuitive, very empathic. We've had a lot of experiences in childhood that were part of what molded us into being the compassionate people that we are, but also created these burdens. And so there's one of like apologizing. Oh, I'm sorry, I don't want to shine so much. I'm sorry, I'm taking up so much space. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm talking too much. I'm sorry if I'm so bright that it's making you uncomfortable. Let me dim my light. I mean, maybe you're not saying those words, but that's the energy. And so again, this confident, wiser version of you is there's no proving, there's no apologizing, just being. Okay, so notice this was the example how I broke that down. Right, you're gonna break it down for yourself because then what happens? This becomes your roadmap. So no longer can you be like, well, I don't know, how do I invite my new me? So if this was the roadmap for you, then this is how I do it. I literally write down the thoughts. And you might, these were 1, 2, 3, 4. Like I usually, if I have like 4 thoughts that I want to practice, that I want to embody, I'll write them down on my, maybe they're in my phone, maybe they're on a paper on my desk. But there's usually one that I focus on. Like it really, I know you might think like, oh, more is better, but actually with this work, less is more. Because so if this was your roadmap and you write, I have so much wisdom to share. I know what my people need. It's easy and joyful to share my gifts. I bring value everywhere I go. You could see which one of those thoughts feels the best in your body. Feels like, okay, this is the one. And so let's say you chose, I bring value everywhere I go, and then you practice that thought. You literally think it. And this is what's going to happen. The old you, when I say old, this old identity is, you're going to notice it. You're going to notice all the times where you're actually going into the opposite, right? When you're like, I have nothing of value to share. I need to take more training. I don't know enough. It's so hard to share my wisdom. I don't know how to communicate my message. Whatever the opposites of these are. Your work is to bring awareness, to notice when you're in those thoughts and not judge it. I think that's one of the stumbling blocks, the biggest stumbling block when we do this work, is that at first it can feel like it's getting worse rather than better, but it's not getting worse. You're just aware of it. You just suddenly are like, oh my gosh, like what are these words in my head? Like, wow, I didn't realize how much of these like negative thoughts are in my head. And when I'm in that place of like, oh, I don't know enough, I need to learn more, doesn't matter what I say, it's not really helping, people don't care, they're not listening. I mean, just saying that I'm feeling awful. So, and you realize like, gosh, when I say those things, how do I feel? I just feel like defeated, or I feel unmotivated, or maybe I feel like a victim, or maybe I feel resentful. And so at first you're just going to notice it, and you're going to have, and I really, really want to stress this. You're going to notice it and you're going to bring compassion to it. Like, oh, so much compassion, not judgment, because like literally every human brain is going through some version of this. And then you're going to choose to redirect, like, no, wait a minute. I know what's happening. It's the old identity that's trying to drag me back down, right? And it's like, no, I know what my people need. I have so much value to bring. And like, that's the process. And that's what I said before. It's not complicated. It's not rocket science. It's not calculus. That was like the hardest class I took in college, calculus. I was just like, what? Well, that and organic chemistry, but calculus was more. It's not. It's simple, but it's not easy because it's not glamorous. It's not flashy. It's just the everyday shifts, right? This is so much of the work that I do with my clients, right? That it's like they might go and be like, oh my gosh, I made this decision and I know it came from my old identity. Like I was still holding myself back. I was still feeling like, oh, I don't want to shine. I don't want to make people feel bad. And then we talk about it, not with judgment, with compassion and love and understanding. And then we're like, okay, so then how do we shift that? How do we do that differently next time? Right? And so this is the roadmap. I want to anchor it with just like a personal example that might seem mundane, but it was just such a perfect example of this. I didn't even realize when it was happening. But so one of the versions that I've been birthing this year, I didn't even know. So this might be helpful for you to hear. Like I knew some. I knew that I was like, okay, I knew one of the versions that I was birthing this year for myself is the version of me that has increased capacity. That no matter what is going on outside of me personally, whatever challenges, that I can still stay in a place of service, that I can access my soul's infinite capacity and still serve and create and inspire, right? That was like a huge piece of what I've been birthing this year. What I didn't understand fully till like mid-September was that I was also birthing, like I was shedding these old beliefs, these old fears around community and making friends. So what I mean is, for a big part of my life, I just had a very, I had my first child at 19. I was married very young. I had 5 kids. I was trying to finish college. I was like very like just focused, right? And enough with my 5 children. I had so much, right? And so I didn't develop a lot of friendships in the first 25 years of my life. I knew people, but I just, for many reasons, that would be too long to explain. I didn't, again, I want to be clear. It's not like I was a hermit. I knew people. I wasn't socially awkward or anything like that. I just was very focused. And then the other thing was, it was very different for me, was that I was in college, even with my little kids. But most of my or all of my peers that I knew of in college, none of them had children. So that was a very big difference, right? I wasn't going to hang out with these college students who were having just a completely different experience. And I'm sure they didn't want to hang out with me, right? It was just, we're just having a different life. And so for a lot of reasons, I didn't develop like deep friendships. And it wasn't until later and as an adult that I really, once I was a teacher, started to connect with friends and, other teachers, with colleagues, and that developed into a friendship. And then I started like yoga classes, and then I met people there and so on. But so that was that. Now, then I moved to Mexico, right? 2 years ago. So I knew when we moved here, and I want to be clear, this is a city we didn't know anyone in. I had no family here. And I could feel the old beliefs of like, oh, I'm not good at making friends, or people aren't going to like me. I know this sounds so like teenager, but this is like what comes. I also, when you move to a new country, you realize most adults, how do they make friends? They make friends with people they work with or people they went to school with or neighbors. But I work from home, right? So it was like a big stretch. First year, I felt really good. Like I put myself out there, starting to make friends. Second year, Greg got diagnosed with cancer. And it was again, I was kind of like, you know, just suddenly in this, again, very focused on that. And so now, in mid-September, I realized like, oh, I need like, this is a big desire of mine to create community here, like to create friendships here, which is going to require me to put myself out there. Okay, that's the whole foundation for this for you to understand. So my birthday was October 23rd, and I celebrated it in San Antonio. My daughter got married, all the kids were there, and it was awesome that we also got to celebrate my birthday. But then when we were here, like towards the end of October when we got back, I was like, you know what, maybe I should do a celebration here with some of the people that I've known, that I've met, right? They're not deep relationships. I mean, we've only been here 2.5 years. And I could feel this is how it connects to this teaching. My new version that I'm birthing, right, is somebody who easily makes friends, who magnetizes other women who I really resonate with and we connect with. And that flows easily. My old identity has these thoughts like, oh, it's not easy for me to make friends. I don't really connect with people, and so on and so on. And so when I had the idea, like, I want to do a little birthday gathering for myself, it's like I was happy for like 5 seconds. And then it was like, no, what if nobody wants to come? What if everybody's busy? What if like I invite people and no one shows up? What if they do show up and I actually don't enjoy it? I mean, it went on and on and on. But I caught it. And I was like, no, that's my old identity. And I can have compassion for that, right? Because again, I had just a lot of part of my life where my life was very different than my peers. And so I scheduled it. I was like, okay, this happened just last Saturday. I was like, okay, November 8th, I messaged these friends. I love Indian food, and there's a delicious Indian restaurant here in Mexico. And I was like, I'm going to have it there. But again, I just want to highlight all of these moments where my old identity wanted to like suck me back. Because this is the level of presence that it requires. So when I first decided, I love Indian food, I want to have it there. And then this other identity was like, well, we're in Mexico. What if none of these people actually like Indian food? I should choose something that they're going to like. Maybe I should ask them. But my new version was like, no. I love Indian food and this is where I want to have it. It's a beautiful space. So I scheduled it there. And then I was, I bought these little bags and I was like, oh, I'm going to buy crystals to give everybody. And then the old version of me was like, crystals, these people, now it's different. My friends in Chicago, I met them in, let's just call it woo-woo spaces, right? It was like law of attraction class, yoga, like we all were exploring angel cards and crystals together and it was so fun. Here, I'm meeting other women, like I don't know, like this part of me was like, what if they think that's weird that you're bringing crystals? And what if, because I also wanted to put like a word, like a blessing in each little bag. And basically I wanted to be my authentic self, but the old version was like, no, like that might be too much. They might think that's weird. But I was like, nope, I'm still going to do it. Bought the little bags, bought the crystals. It was like 12 people all together. But had Greg, because he has better printing than me, right? I put a list of words like miracles, blessings, peace, joy, and I put them in the bag so like everybody would like get whatever, the universe decided to give them. So I was like, okay. And then, so notice how each step of the way, my old version's trying to suck me back. I was like, I need to get a cake. Now, for those of you who don't know, don't have gluten. I'm gluten-free and vegan in the sense I do eat meat, but vegan, like I can't have dairy. I should say dairy-free and gluten-free. And I've met this amazing baker that sells the most amazing, delicious gluten-free vegan cakes, literally walking distance at an organic market. So I'm like, I'm going to ask her to make a cake and I'm going to take it to the restaurant so that I could share it with everybody that's there. But again, there was that voice. I was like, well, but none of them are gluten-free. It turns out one of them was. I forgot. And like, what if they don't like it? And then I was like, I should make it chocolate because everybody loves chocolate. This baker makes delicious chocolate cakes. But I didn't want a chocolate cake. I wanted a pink lavender cardamom cake. That's what I wanted. And I was so close to not doing that for myself because I was like, oh, everybody would prefer chocolate. But I was like, no, I want cardamom lavender, gluten-free, vegan cake with the most beautiful pink frosting made from blueberries because that's what my inner child wants and it's so delicious. So I had that. So all of these ways, so this is the work, right? I could have just said, I'm just going to be my new me and schedule my birthday party, but all of the old thoughts kept coming in and I kept noticing it and still making the decision. And the last thing, which is what she's wearing there, that morning of Saturday, I was like walking past this beautiful little shop that I bought dresses in and things. And they have these crowns because the Days of the Dead was recently. And I was like, I want to wear this in my birthday. Like it's my birthday. Like I want to have it like a crown. Like I'm this queen and I'm having my birthday party. And so I went in and I tried them on and I found this one. And I was like, this is what I'm going to do. And my old version was literally freaking out. It's like, are you kidding? You're going to have a crown? People are going to think you're the weirdest person ever. But I was like, that's okay. Because who I want to attract is authentic friendships. And if they think I'm super weird and never want to hang out with me again, better that I find out now because this is who I am. And so it all happened. We went. Everybody loved the Indian food. Everybody loved the cardamom cake. I mean, they were kind of like, what kind of cake is this? But everybody was so like, oh my gosh, this is so delicious. I had my crown on. It was just the most amazing, beautiful experience. And it was a way that I anchored in this new identity. But it didn't just happen like that. There was, right, that presence required, that attention required, that not letting that old identity, right, change all of those decisions. I wouldn't have been in the Indian restaurant. I wouldn't have worn my crown. I wouldn't have brought the crystal, which by the way, everybody loved the crystals. Oh, and I also had oracle cards. I had like animal oracle cards and I like, pulled them out and they were like, what is that? And I was like, well, if you want, I could pull an animal oracle card for you. And they were like, oh, like everybody was like, yes, please. And it was so fun. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I would have missed out on all of that had I allowed those fears to pull me back, right? So I will share the pictures of myself. I do have one here. You can see there I am with my birthday cake. And the people brought out the birthday cake with the 5, because I turned 51, the 5 and the 1 backwards. So it looks like I'm turning 15. That's what it says if you can't see it. But I'll put them on Instagram because I'm going to do a whole thing about that. But anyway, I share that story. I hope it helps really ground a specific example for you of what this looks like. What not waiting anymore, but actually, starting to be your new self now, what it looks like, what it requires, and the blessings that come out of that, right? Like the blessings, like I'm already planning my next birthday for next year, but it goes beyond that, right? Because the version of me one of the versions of me that I'm birthing this year that I didn't even realize till I had this experience was like, oh, right, that I'm not the lone wolf anymore. That I have friends and community and connections and that they come easily to me. And so I'm sending you so much love. I want to invite you. Next week is my free masterclass, From Shedding to Shining, Embodying Your Helper Self. It's going to go deeper into some of what we talked about today, but it's really going from that, right? From shedding to shining, which is kind of what I feel like I did with that crown that now Guadalupe is wearing, right? It's like, and so I would love to see you. It is a free masterclass. It's Thursday, the 20th, November 20th, from 2:30 to 4 o'clock Central US time. And you will have access to the replay for 7 days. Of course, if you're in my coaching programs, you have access to it for as long as you're in that. And also I have spots still available in November for free sovereignty consults. You can click on the link that I'll provide there to schedule that. I would love to talk. So thank you so much, everyone. Just keep, going, creating, serving, leading, inspiring, creating impact, right? Being an example of what's possible when you help from a place of alignment. All right, I'm sending you so much love. Thank you so much for being here. Bye.